This is Priyansh from Money Control. I wanted to ask what is the possible revenue loss that has been estimated due to the rate cuts? And secondly, for the states, has there been any discussion on how the revenue will be compensated to them?
As the Finance Minister explained, the objective of this proposal, which is the GST rate structure rationalization, accompanied with process reforms. So the first request I will have is to have the appreciation of the proposal in the manner in which it has been prepared, in order to not distract ourselves with issues which will be an outcome of this process, but the core principle of this exercise needs to be appreciated in totality. We have estimated a figure. We expect that the net fiscal implication, we would not call it as a revenue loss because that doesn't seem to be the correct terminology, but net revenue implication of this proposal is expected, we have estimated it to be around 48,000 crores. This is on the consumption base of 23-24 because that is where we had all the segregated data. What I would also request
ஏற்படும் என்று கருதுகிறோம். அதனை வருவாய் இழப்பு என்று நாம் கூற மாட்டோம், அப்படி கருத முடியாது. ஆனால் நிதி தாக்கம் 48,000 கோடியாக இருக்கும் என மதிப்பிடப்பட்டுள்ளது.
Looking at a particular number of revenue implication and highlighting it in a manner which is not proper may not present the correct picture of this exercise. The reason being, one, typically the rate rationalization exercise would result in buoyancy effects. We do expect, as mathematically one may calculate based on consumption of 23-24, but economically that is not how outcomes will evolve. And we do expect buoyancy to play a major role because of this rate rationalization exercise in enhancing the revenue. In addition, there is also an effect on the consumer behavior. What he spends on and how much does get influenced by price, which is going to be expected to get positively influenced by this exercise. We also expect compliance to improve due to this exercise. Madam explained to you how rates which were at different levels or transport, auto parts, etc. Once rationalized, it will improve and enhance compliance because many of these disputes would not necessarily result in revenues but would linger on and would end up having a lot of resources, both of the business and the department, in struggling to settle those disputes. So compliance would also have a very positive effect on the revenue generation. Finally, there is a technicality that when the rates change, the rate of the value chain itself changes, and tax, you know, is paid through ITC and cash, and the actual implication of that will have to be worked out. I would just like to highlight a number from before just to explain how these changes do play out. For example, when earlier the average rates were around 15.5 in the earlier part of the GST, the compliance in the form of GSTR TB was around 85 to 90%. Now the compliance has improved to almost 97% as the rates have come down. We do expect these positive changes will have and we believe that in this entire exercise will be fiscally sustainable both for center as well as
Good evening, ma'am. Shishi from Hindu Business Line. My question is about the anti-profiteering because now so much rate reduction is there and we do not have the anti-profiteering mechanism. As of now, we understand that GST 80 can take only the pending cases and the cases directed by the courts. So what kind of mechanism we are going to have? And the second question is about the clarification on the revenue implication, that 48,000 crore is on annualized basis or just for the FY26, ma'am?
On the first question of anti-profiteering, just to give you a couple of statistics, that since inception, under the arrangement of anti-profiteering, which is no longer in place now, only around 704 cases were registered with the authority, and 60% of the cases were initiated within the first 3 to 4 years of implementation, and the total profiteering amount that was alleged was around 4,362 crores in these 704 cases. So we expect that last time too, these data shows that industry has largely passed on the benefits of rate cut. At that time too, the industry made public statements and committed, and you would have heard and you would have seen that a lot of industries have already come out.
குறைப்பை பொறுத்தவரை தொழில்துறையினர் அதன் பலன்களை சாமானிய மக்களுக்கு கொண்டு சேர்ப்பார்கள் என்ற நம்பிக்கை உள்ளது. கடந்த முறையும் கூட இது போன்ற பெரும்பாலான தொழில்துறையினர் வரி குறைப்பின் பலன்களை பொதுமக்களுக்கு வழங்கி இருக்கின்றனர். தரவுகள் அதனை நிரூபிக்கின்றன.
Is going to be transmitted to the consumers, and we do expect that since it is to the benefit of the businesses too, it is going to happen eventually. On the issue of the revenue loss, I think
லாபம் பயன் கிடைக்கும் என்பதால் நிச்சயமாக வரி குறைப்பின் பலன்களை சாமானிய மக்களுக்கு தொழில்துறையினர் வழங்குவார்கள் என்று நாங்கள் நம்புகிறோம்.
We have done a data based on a historical number, that is 23-24 consumption. How will 26 happen will obviously depend on how consumption evolves, and we, as I said, are confident that this is going to be fiscally sustainable.
Deepshika from the Economic Times. One just follow up to the revenue question. What would be what is the revenue neutral rate after these reductions? And also on compensation cess, what happens after the loans are paid, especially on the tobacco products and high-end luxury products? What is there any decision on the future of this cess? Will there be something else coming in its place, or?
I'll have the Revenue Secretary tell you about the revenue neutral rates. But on the compensation cess, we've discussed it today very clearly. It will continue on those goods which I mentioned, the tobacco and tobacco-related products, over and above the 28%, which is the system which prevails now, till such a time that we repay the loan. And after that, there will not be a cess. And those items which were with compensation cess have already been proposed to be at 40% because they are sin goods rate. They are, as I said, 40% is not part of the scheme of things, it's at the extreme. No other good will go there except for these tobacco-related products. So they will be, the incidence will be on them at 40%. Revenue neutrality.
No, I didn't get the question. Revenue neutral would mean what? No, but what? Can you explain your question? What revenue neutral would mean?
மாநிலங்களுக்கு ஏற்பட்ட இழப்பீடை ஈடுகட்டுவதற்கு அவர்களுக்கு கடனாக வழங்கப்பட்டுள்ளது. மாநிலங்கள் அந்த கடனை திருப்பி செலுத்துவதற்கு 28% வரிக்கு மேல், அதாவது புகையிலை, சிகரெட் உள்ளிட்ட பொருட்களின் மீது விதிக்கப்படுகின்ற GST வரியுடன் இழப்பீட்டு வரியையும் வசூலிக்க மாநிலங்களுக்கு அதிகாரம் வழங்கப்பட்டுள்ளது. மாநிலங்கள் அந்த கடனை முழுமையாக செலுத்தி முடிக்கும் வரை அவற்றின் மீது விதிக்கப்படுகின்ற இழப்பீட்டு வரி தொடர்ந்து வசூலிக்கப்படும்.
Anshul Magazine from Indian Express. Just a clarification on the tobacco part, because I believe when GST was rolled out, Centre had the powers to levy NCCD on tobacco. So how will it get levied on, say, something like pan masala? If you could elaborate that. And secondly, was there any decision regarding electric vehicles? Because that was also one of the proposals submitted by the GOM.
On the pan masala, tobacco and everything else, under the GST, till such a time the loan is repaid, as I said, the 28% plus the compensation cess will run. Once I clear the loan, they all come to 40%. And that's what is the GST.
ஆடம்பர பொருட்களின் மீது விதிக்கப்படுகின்ற 28% இழப்பீட்டு வரி மாநிலங்கள் கடனை திருப்பி செலுத்தும் காலம் வரை தொடர்ந்து நடைபெறும். மாநிலங்கள் கடனை திருப்பி செலுத்தியது முடிந்தவுடன் 40% என்கிற வரி நடைமுறைக்கு வரும்.
चूंकि अभी काफ़ी खबर चल रही थी कि जो 2500 जो अभी ब्रांडेड 1000 रुपये से ऊपर का जो शर्ट एंड फुटवेयर्स है, मैं राजीव हूँ सर दैनिक जागरण से, तो उस पे उसको 2500 उसकी सीमा की जा रही थी। जो 2500 से ऊपर है उनको उन पे ज़्यादा टैक्स लगेगा, तो ऐसा कुछ हुआ या अब सब पे जो भी फुटवेयर और गारमेंट्स होंगे 1000 रुपये से ऊपर के भी, उन पे भी सिर्फ 5% ही लगेगा? इस पे कुछ फैसला हुआ? नंबर 1। नंबर 2 सर कि स्मॉल कार, मिड साइज कार, तो क्या इसमें 1200 सीसी से ऊपर वाले सभी कार पे 40% लगेगा?
जहाँ तक फुटवेयर का सवाल है, आज के दिन 2 रेट्स थे। 1000 रुपये से कम वालों के ऊपर 12% और 1000 रुपये से ऊपर वाले के ऊपर 18% लगता था। तो जो चेंज किए गए हैं, जैसे आपको ज्ञात है कि मैडम ने पहले बताया कि 12% का रेट अभी नहीं है, तो 2 रेट जो अभी हैं वो 5 और 18 के हैं। 5% पे जो 2500 से कम वाली वस्तुएं वाले फुटवेयर हैं और 18% पे जो 2500 से ऊपर वाली वस्तुएं हैं। आपका दूसरा सवाल किस इशू से था?
सीसी।
हाँ, मैडम ने आपको बताया कि छोटी कारें जो हैं वो 18 पे होंगी और बाकी सारी कारें जो हैं वो 40 पे होंगी। डेफिनेशन तो आई थॉट वो तो डिपार्टमेंट MHRT मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट रेगुलेटर का है। पेट्रोल की 1200 सीसी और डीजल की 1500 सीसी होती है और उसके साथ शायद लेंथ का भी एक लिमिटेशन होता है। तो जो उनका रेगुलेशंस के हिसाब से छोटी कारें हैं वो हमारी 18 पे रहेंगी। हम लोग अलग से कोई नया डेफिनेशन उसका नहीं बना रहे हैं।
45.
I had a related question on hotels and on air travel. Again, there were 2 classifications there. So if, and I think all these would be in the detailed press release that you'd be issuing, but if you could just help us.
இனி செல்லும் இடமெல்லாம் செய்தி. தந்தி டிவியின் வாட்ஸ்அப் சேனலை ஃபாலோ பண்ணினா செல்ல இருக்கும் இடமெல்லாம் செய்தி. இதோ QR கோட் இப்பவே ஸ்கேன் பண்ணுங்க, ஃபாலோ பண்ணுங்க.